Everybody, welcome back to the podcast Cosmic Week 3. My name's Vlad, and my co-hosts.
Artie.
George. And this podcast is brought to you by Bungie.
We promised this week. Well, first of all, hey Keith, I didn't hear you. Keith.
Sorry about that.
So
I'm here.
Yeah. This week we're going to do a little bit something different. We are actually not going to talk about Destiny because we realize that Destiny takes us down a ridiculous
A dark path.
a dark path, a K-hole path filled
with lattes.
Lattes and angry
Dwarfs.
man children. But what do you have to say about that, Artie? Anything? Are you good?
You know, one of the Bungie developers or somebody went to Twitter about a week ago and started explaining how teabagging is terrible. This is what they're doing. Develop a game, guys.
Okay, we're off of it. Stop. Okay, so we're doing something a little bit different right now. We're going to be talking about 3 topics this week, and we realize that they're pretty big topics, one of them especially. So the first one we're going to be talking about is Ozark Season 4, Part 1, which... Spoilers. Yes, absolutely spoilers. Thank you, Keith.
Wait, we're not talking about Euphoria Episode 3?
No, we're not talking about Euphoria Episode 3. We'll do that in the after podcast.
You're killing me.
Then we're going to talk about Peacemaker, Episode 5, and some news that dropped about potential new seasons of a second season of Peacemaker, plus other spin-offs, and James Gunn's future in the DCEU. And lastly, we're going to talk about Season 3, Episode 1 of The Mandalorian. The Book of Boba Fett, Episode 5.
So spoilers there, right? I think we're going to try talk. We're all gushing to talk about Episode 5. I mean,
I think we're going to take a CSI approach to this episode.
I think we're going to really we're going to do a huge autopsy on that episode and possibly the series.
Whatever you do, all I can say is before we even get started, whatever you guys do, if you're sitting on watching the episode, waiting to the weekend, please just go watch it. You will love. It's just a thing of beauty.
Tell us how you really feel, Artie.
No, I was.
Okay. With that, let's shift gears. Something a little less comic oriented, and we'll talk about Ozark Season 4, Part 1. As everybody knows who watches the show, this is the last season of Ozark. And Netflix has taken a different approach where they've actually broken up the last season into 2 parts, 7 episodes each, as opposed to a 10-episode regular season. So there's a couple of reasons for that. There's Emmy consideration. My understanding is that they want to try to get as many Emmy awards for the last season as possible. So... this season is eligible for this year's Emmys up until I believe May 31st of 2022, and then the next one for the next following one is going to be after that. So,
oh really?
Yeah. So that's what it is. So
a science to it all.
Oh, science to it all. So that I'm going to turn it over to Artie, who actually I want to get his take on the season, and
so like I think everybody here, I'm a big fan of the show. Big fan of the cast. The casting is amazing. You know, I remember watching the first episode and telling you guys, what the heck? This is really all over the place. It's jumping all over the place. But right after the first episode, they do a huge amount of setup, introduction of at least 2 key characters. They fast forward a little bit. And after the first episode, it just hits the ground running. And it really goes like a freight train getting to the last episode, to the mid-season, I guess you would call it. Cliffhanger. It's a lot of fun, a lot of interesting developments between the family itself. It's just great writing, great execution. You can't help but dislike characters who they want you to dislike. And I think, surprisingly enough, I like Justin Bateman's character even more this season. You know, a lot of you don't like his son, Joshua, right?
Jonah.
I really like Jonah a lot for some reason. And you know, Wendy, I hate Wendy, the road she's gone down. And just a really, really good episode, ups and downs and really exciting stuff. I really like what they did with the Chicago mob, surprisingly enough. I like the son. It was a character I never thought I would ever like. And I like the developments with Ruth. I mean, just they did a good job. Great season. Very interesting. Surprising blasts to the head at the end. But really good stuff.
Keith, what was your take on it?
No, I kind of agree with Artie on most of that. Excellent writing. I have to say, who's the actress who plays Ruth? Spanish. She doesn't get an award.
Gloria, she's actually won. I forget her.
She won an Emmy?
She won an Emmy 2 years in a row for 2019.
For this show?
Absolutely.
She's outstanding.
Outstanding.
Kills it.
Great character.
With her squeaky voice. Kills it.
Everything about the way she acts. And yeah, I like the Casey mob. It took the Casey mob's son getting his junk blown off before he became a decent guy.
Yes.
But I mean, how stupid was his dad? I felt that was a little out of character. Like, why,
you don't think somebody who's powerful thinks they could just do anything they want sometimes?
I mean, but he knew about this woman.
Did he really know about Darlene? Did he really know about her?
I don't know. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. It just felt a little like he overstepped it. But that's my one only gripe. I mean, everything else.
Ruth and the son's kind of twist when she comes to him and they have that kind of conversation outside of the night.
I think that's actually great character development.
That's a great discussion, like how she's talking to him, like you're saying,
great moments.
The emoting that she's
well, her going to tell him that his father's not coming back is huge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And let's just. Keith, I'm sorry. I'm going to let you.
No.
But I remember turning to my wife watching the show and just realizing at the end of the day, and I'm sorry I'm bringing the show up and comparing it to it, but Ruth is Jesse Pinkman. You're rooting for Ruth the way you rooted for Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad. You want, of all the people, the birds, anybody else, the person that I really want to get out of this scot-free is Ruth. I want her, there's that whole scene, remember? She goes to see the lady who sells her the seeds and does all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of telling her, about getting out.
But that's the sad part. She probably will get out. But what is she getting out from? There's nothing left. She's got everything around her. Everyone is. Does she loves is dead?
Would they let her get out, or would they draw too many comparisons to?
I think the sad part is she'll get out, but she'll be broke. I mean, what does she got?
And I know we're kind of taking it haphazardly all over the place. Like for me, the core, you can argue that sort of Wendy and Marty are it's the key dynamic between the two of them, and sort of like. It's been like that. Like Marty's been always trying to fly under the radar, keep everybody sort of, let's get out of this, head down. He's the mastermind behind it. And then Wendy kind of creates this. It's almost like the two sides of, again, I don't want to compare them to Walter White.
Guys, keep going on for a second. I'll be right back.
Because, great. Okay.
And we pause. Go ahead.
So it's sort of the whole idea that, Wendy is the hubris. She's the hubris, and she's the one who feels like she can take it. They can take it even more, and they can get out of this and become even, by expanding means doing things a little bit more. It doesn't matter. This is how we get out by expanding and becoming bigger is how we get, and more powerful is how we do this. While Marty's the opposite.
And it's almost like Walter White has been split into people.
It's right. It's as if Walter White has been split into two people, and especially I got to tell you. The scene where Wendy leaves and where she leaves Darlene potentially to die, the episode ends right there. I remember yelling like she's pulling a Walt, where Walt let Jesse's girlfriend die from the overdose. I was like, holy shit! They're actually, well, you didn't know that. They cut it right there, and just go 10 seconds and the next episode starts. But the real interesting relationship in the show for me is really Marty and Ruth.
Yeah.
And I feel that Marty sees Ruth as his third child, really, and he cares about her. And there's that great scene towards, I think in the 6th episode, where he asked her, "Can you help me with this? Can you?"
Kids and
she's of course.
I think she also has a feeling,
she does, because she's the one who saw something in her, even though it was kind of adverse when they first met. How she took the money and did everything in the original season. But I truly believe he cares about her. Wendy.
He definitely does. Wendy doesn't care. I don't know who.
Well, look what she did with Jonah. I mean, we can talk about what happened with her brother, right? And obviously she's reeling. She's got psychological and emotional side effects because of her brother, right? And you're seeing that spiraling.
I think it's to keep her down with the family, because when she meets with her father, there's a huge tension there. And even when
that was alluded to, my understanding, if I remember correctly, that was alluded to seasons before as well, that she left, that she was always somebody who left. I think when her brother came into the picture,
he mentioned it.
Right. And so the other big thing, obviously, is the flash forward that everybody is kind of sort of scratching their head about, which is car crash.
What we open up with
the car crash, which looks like it's taking place a little further down the road, right? No pun intended. It's happening a little further down the road.
Down the road.
Right. And what's your take on it?
My take on it is, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to ask you.
My take on it is it's a feint. They're going to get away. I don't know whether it's the government helping them or them doing it themselves, because they have ways of getting passports and new identities themselves. And they're obviously very savvy at hiding resources and money.
So you think they
on their way to Chicago? I think
they were on their way to Chicago. They hadn't finished. They were meeting with the FBI in.
Yeah, I think they want out completely, though. They want out completely, and they're going to get out separately.
But you believe? But I mean, I take it as if it's almost sort of like, life laughing at your plans and basically all this stuff that you did planning and trying to do things, and then all of a sudden you're taken out by a car.
I think that's a great possibility, but I think it's a feint the opposite way. That they
I do believe that. I do have another question. Did you get the sense that? Oh God, I'm drawing a blank on the name of Navarro, the main dude.
Omar.
Did he have a thing for Wendy?
That's always they've had a tension.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, did you get the feeling that by that last scene when they're not the last scene when they're in jail together, when right before it goes south?
I think what he's doing as a powerful man, he's a powerful man, and he's that respect is he respects what he does, and that's attractive to him. So he is doing that. He is saying that he respects it, and in another time, he probably would have liked to have her in Mexico with him.
Right.
She is smart, but really the brains of that, she's the ambition. The brains of that operation is Jason Bateman.
Jason
Bateman. Yeah, he's
Marty.
Sorry. Yeah, Marty. He's the brains, and really, despite all our aspirations, I think she's our own worst enemy. On top of it.
Well, she is her worst enemy. I mean, and it's the subtle. I mean, again, I know people are just like, and Laura Linney is doing it. She's killing it. So Jason Bateman and Julia Garner. First of all, Julia Garner is the MVP. Ruth is the MVP of the show, hands down. I mean, that last scene when she goes off, on the birds after she
comes at the house with the shotgun.
Oh my God, that was fucking great. I thought it was great. I don't know, you were a little taken aback sort of by the way it ended. It ended so abruptly. But I thought it was great because I love that you don't hear her scream in the car. It's sort of like this thing that's left and you don't know what's going to happen. Well, you know what's going to happen. She's going after Javi.
I don't know if she is though now. I think because what happened with what they told her, that he's connected by the FBI, and it became a lot more complicated for her to just to kill him.
Keith, that's a great point.
And she's not dumb. She's not dumb.
No.
If she could be petulant sometimes, she's not dumb.
Yeah.
Which is what Marty likes about her.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be very conflicting. I think she'll want to kill him. I don't know. It's going to be. I can't wait for the next one. I think they set it up really well.
Let me ask you this. There's no way in hell to me that Wendy can have the keys to the kingdom and be a kingmaker in the region. There's no way. There's no way.
I think it's hubris again. I think it's there's something very Shakespearean about the whole thing. It's very like Lady Macbeth and Macbeth. Kind of building up to something that it's you don't get out of this.
And I'm sorry I exited stage left a minute ago, but did you guys talk about the private eye?
No, we didn't. Which is
that's the real piece of this. That's going to get real interesting in the second half of this season. Because
what about the FBI agent?
Well, him and Maya.
He ends up with Maya. He ends up with Maya. And the thing is, I didn't want to like this character, but he is so good at making you not like him. And he's, you know what I mean? They establish like he's a bit of a dick,
but he's a talented dick.
Yeah, 100%.
And
like
he does Yeah,
he always ends up someplace you don't expect him to be, and then back at their front door again.
But isn't this the whole thing when you think about even like Maya? Think about Maya. Maya is such a complicated character as well. I mean, her righteousness ends up putting her, putting her right in the middle.
Inability to give it up. This guy's inability to give it up, and her righteousness are a recipe for disaster for anything the FBI and the Martys are planning.
That's I don't believe you get out of this. You get out of this clean. I don't know what. And here's the thing. I don't know.
There are no happy endings at the end of this.
Well, there's no. The only one that I can see a theoretical happy ending for is Ruth. Ruth deserves it. You know, I think it goes back to the whole thing that the name of the show is Ozark, right? So it takes place in Ozark. You have people that are natives there, and this is how they lived, and and Ruth is one of these people. Then you had the birds coming in. You had these interlopers coming in. Isn't there that scene in this season where Marty says something like, "Well, we're here now." I don't care. What?
To Darlene.
To Darlene.
Try to make sense to Darlene to say,
"Well, we're here now. You people came here. Well, we're here now. It's done." That's, and I think at the end of the day, the people that really matter. I know you care about the birds. You're supposed to care about the birds, but at the same time, they're all corrupt now. All four of them are corrupt. So is Ruth, but Ruth, I think Ruth deserves that chance more than anybody,
So, when you say corrupt, what do you think about the word evil? Are any of them evil? Has Wendy done a legitimately evil thing?
She killed her brother. She had her brother killed.
There you go. Right, without telling whom.
Well, everything they're doing, there's blood on their hands with everything that they're doing.
But I think there's blood on their hands, but there's also deliberate. Like, she's just, to me.
Well, it's the classic compartmentalizing. People are compartmentalizing, thinking like, well, we're doing this for the family. We're doing this. You're doing this for power. You're doing this for all these things. Remember, with Wendy, they initially discussed early on in the previous seasons that she had a political career, right? Yeah. And that there's always been that sort of drive. And Marty's drive was, make money, do whatever. I mean, when I first started watching the show, I thought, okay, fine, it's gonna be the reverse of Breaking Bad. They're already in deep, and it's about them getting out. But do you really want them to get out? Because that's the argument about The Sopranos again, like, the anti-heroes. Are you rooting for these people?
But I think the whole thing with Marty was he was so smart, he would find a way to get out. And maybe that's hubris in itself. But I think what happened to me in the middle of this, so the thing with Wendy that I find impossible for them to square. So it's impossible for her to become a political force. Somebody's going to find out something.
Well, everybody, look, her attorney, I mean, her attorney knows. I don't see I don't see something clean where you're living a political existence, as an elite Midwestern family. I honestly don't see that. I see that, you're going to
makers of the tri-state, whatever they have there.
5 states. They were talking about 5 states in order to become kingmakers and do all these things. Those political aspirations, to me, it's all about survival at the end of the day, right? When it comes down to it, I don't know.
And that's what I think they do at the end. That's why I think the beginning is a feint where they need to survive outside, because what they're doing with the FBI is going to use them forever.
Okay, but do you, and I'm posing this to everybody, I mean, do you want them to get out scot-free?
No, I want the kids and Marty out.
I think I'm going to repeat myself. It's going to be like, is it going to be a repeat of how Breaking Bad ended? Where Walter didn't get out. He tried to redeem himself. Is there going to be some redemption at the end of this, or do they stay consistent to themselves in terms of?
But I don't think there's a redemption for Wendy.
But that's what I mean. Do you try, like, you didn't think there was a redemption for Walter, and yet but
Walter he wasn't like her. He got in. She's always been this ambitious person.
So was Walter. Walter was always ambitious. Remember?
Yeah, but Walter was happy to be, unbeknownst, until he gets into the drug game.
That is not true. He always had his hubris. He had his hubris when he was a professor. And remember, with his ex-girlfriend, all that stuff. There was hubris there. There was always there, and it was his hubris that brought him down. And
I don't think
that's a what?
I don't think she's redeemable. I think what's going to happen is her character is going to be taken down to the peg she needs to be taken down to. She's going to be humbled.
But what humbled how? By whom or why? By what?
By the powers that be, because of her.
The only thing I could see that is it her children, the loss of her children?
Well, she's in the car with them at the end.
Come on, I hate to say it, but Marty and her, it's fait accompli. It's over. I mean, they're done. You know, I think once this, and what I mean, I don't mean dead. I mean that relationship it's not. Remember, it started off as where it was when the show started, and
right, he was cheating. She was cheating on him.
She was cheating on him. It was completely like a marriage of convenience for survival purposes, and they ended up continuing to remain together. Marty sort of had that pseudo emotional relationship with the owner of the bar. Remember the blue cat or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's right. The first 2 seasons.
Right, and then Wendy was flirting with the Politico dude and all. So there's nothing there. I mean, of course they love each other as, you know,
partners,
parents of children,
parents and children. But you can obviously see that. Remember, there was that line. He goes, "When we get back to Chicago, Wendy," and like, what? And then the private eye shows up, right? So, yeah. I don't think unless there's this epiphany that they realize.
I'm open to it all, unless I just want to see what happens with, because Maya and the private eye getting together, that cannot be good for the FBI, Marty, or the cartel.
I think Maya's completely shut herself off from all avenues because she's frozen out.
She's screwed too.
She screwed the FBI, so she screwed her employers, right?
Yeah.
She sort of has them in this vice of like, well, look, from the court of public opinion, I did the right thing by bringing this dude in, right?
But like Wendy's hubris is this big and ambition is this big. Maya's righteousness, as you said, it is just as big to me. It's her character.
But then Marty also, I mean, Marty's not infallible. I mean, Marty is smart.
No,
I think he does have a blind side, and I think
Marty doesn't take initiative a lot of times until something happens. He's forced to act. Like he starts to execute a plan to thinking he's getting out, but he's not really getting out because he's still aligning himself with all the people, and he's not forcing the people that are even on his side, meaning Wendy and his children, to do what they have to do to get out. Like he's just like, okay, we're doing our plan. They do something, and then he does something brilliant to fix it.
Right. I did want to bring up because they focused on it, especially in the last episode, which was the flashback to him and his partner getting the pulling the trigger on the office space, and always going back to the trampoline, and in his there's something about that decision that they're focusing on, that there's some sort of repercussions that I think echo into and reverberate into sort of the present day of the show, and I'm trying to understand what that is.
I see what you're saying. The way I took it, Vlad, was that, you can go get the corner office and the big office and pull the trigger on it, but if you're doing the things wrong, it's never going to work out, right?
And I think that's what's happening, is that you're seeing everybody's supposed to be going like this, the birds are supposed to be going like this, and Wendy's continuously going this way, and now acting out because of the death of her brother and her role in that, and sort of ostracizing Jonah even further, potentially sending him to jail, right? Doing everything.
And corrupting the daughter even further.
Right?
It's subtle, but it's there.
But that's actually an incredibly subtle scene, that the fact that she gets up and she walks out of the SATs, you're like, you don't have a normal life anymore. Stop thinking that there's something you're going to go back to.
When she threatens her friend, that girl, Erin.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Right.
Like, what? Really, Charlotte? Okay.
So I think, look, it's damn good writing. It is. Yeah. Honestly, it's hard not to go back and look at it and compare it to Breaking Bad.
Can we close it on this? I have a question for all of you guys. With the splitting of seasons, it's not the first show to do it. What are your thoughts on that? Like, Vlad, now that you explained to me why shows may do it to catch that, glory. Yeah. As a fan of shows, I'd rather they not do it. But are they also giving us one extra episode per season?
I don't mind that. Okay, and I don't want to
I'd
monopolize.
rather have had the whole season just to watch.
I know.
I think it's also like building up a cliffhanger,
Thank you.
suspenseful. It's a suspenseful elephant, like what they did with how many movies, like Endgame, just to use an example. Endgame could have been 1 6-hour movie if they wanted to, but it was just easy for them to split it at end it at a cliffhanger.
Right, and they did the same thing. They did the same thing with Sopranos. Sopranos was broken into 2 seasons, 2 parts of the season 6. Breaking Bad was broken into 2 parts, the last season, and it worked out. Look, here's the thing: at the end of the day, I don't care how long it takes, as long as it's executed and written properly.
Yeah.
My thing is that, and not to get onto, I still think that Breaking Bad had probably one of the most perfect endings. I'm not talking about El Camino. I'm not talking about any codas. I'm talking about Better Call Saul, which is still great.
Yeah, you're talking the universe that was.
I'm talking about 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, and everything was earned by the end of that. And I never felt slighted or cheated by any of the characters.
Not one episode did I ever felt cheated. I mean, I really, the writing. But I'll tell you something with the Ozarks, even though I disliked I'm sorry, I'm harping on this, but the first episode of this season, it just caught me off guard. I didn't expect it to jump around as much as it did, but it was introducing so many new characters.
But yeah, but you go through because I think there's a number of things. There's anticipation. Something's been away for so long because it was away for 2 years, remember? So that might as well, it's not even a TV show at that point.
Yeah,
it's
2 years, wow.
It's a movie. It's like we're kind of exposing our ages, but we remember when there was 3 years between Star Wars movies, right? Okay, and there was no internet. So so waiting that long and then having that anticipation and waiting for things to happen, right? Look, at the end of the day, you have to get used to it because it ended abruptly with them killing what's her name, and then it just picks up with something completely different, and then it goes back to the present.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we spent 42 minutes on
we spent
Ozark.
27 minutes on it. I don't know why you jumped into a black hole. We're going to switch over to Peacemaker.
Yeah, but first, can we talk a little bit about Euphoria? Nobody wants to watch this show but me. There's plenty of good reasons to watch it, George.
I saw 2 good reasons why.
George, why don't you start with Peacemaker? Because I know how much you love it.
Peacemaker. It just, I don't know. It feels now it becomes like, is it better than it was the first 3 episodes? Sure. That's not really saying much. Was the episode suspenseful? Not really. I mean, I got the feeling that Harcourt has a butterfly in her. I mean, like all of a sudden, the sudden change in her temperament towards the group, it just.
She's got the hots. She's got the hots for Chris.
George, got the hots for Chris. Super monkey.
Telegraphed a lot of the stuff, and Cena's great. The guy that plays Vigilante's great. Robert Patrick's fantastic, but I just feel like it's not doing anything for me. It's just like something I watch for like 45 minutes so I could go meh about on this podcast, and that's about it.
You're not ready to join the 11th Street Gang?
That I thought was awesome. I have to tell you, I thought
no offense, Hanoi Rocks was not that good.
No, they weren't. But the fact that they're using 80s hair metal.
But
obscure 80s. Well,
it's obscure 80s hair metal, and it's
gone now.
It's an attempt at like a character building thing through music.
Yep.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And
it's gun shtick though.
Listen, we found out a very big revelation
with his
about Economos being a metalhead.
Yeah, he was awesome. But the thing that is really a revelation is that the butterflies can go into any living organism.
And from any orifice, right?
From any orifice. Dude, I have to admit, look, George, I agree with you. It's kind of hard to get into the characters as much as it is to just go for the ride. Like I just go for a ride. It's like going on a roller coaster for 25 seconds.
It is, but you know what it is though? It's like, I think based on Gunn's, history, he's capable of doing really good characters. everyone's scattershot. Like they're doing things based on whatever the episode requires them to, plots.
You're right.
I can see that. I can see that.
It's just like, there's no consistency to the characters.
Right.
Yeah, like
And it's like
a badass.
off-putting. That's why, Harcourt's change of heart. It's like, is she softening up or is there a butterfly? I'm like, it's going to be a butterfly.
Well,
And it could be a good one.
everybody's a butterfly at this point. I think that's the big feint, right? The big feint is the butterflies. It's the scroll. It's the scroll thing from we said it last
The question is,
That or
what
could be like
happened?
good butterflies, bad butterflies.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, great.
But let me ask you something. What is the show about?
Butterflies?
Honestly, I don't think that's an excellent question. I don't care what the show is about. It's just irreverent. I'm not saying it's. I don't think it's.
You can see that they're trying to do things. They're trying to do some character develop with John Cena or Peacemaker, Chris, right? They're trying to, right? They're trying to do little bits of development between the characters, and the rest is all just essentially
ultra violence. It's ultra violent.
Ultra violent hijinks, for lack of a better word.
I mean, I wasn't crazy about the monkey butt.
It's still like, it's not like shocking or like even funny ultra violence. It's just like,
well, it's violence for the sake of violence. It's trauma. It's like that's the trauma stuff.
But he plays it pretty straight, Peter Gunn, right? Like when they blow somebody's face off, it just happens.
Peter Gunn.
Dun, dun,
dun,
James Gunn.
I'm sorry.
Peter Gunn, Justin Bateman.
I know. He just plays it pretty straight, right? Like the violence that happens.
Right.
They don't dwell on it. What I mean? Like they shoot.
Well, it's Suicide Squad. It's trauma. It's like all that crazy over the top nonsense. What eat peace, motherfuckers? Is that what he said?
Yeah. But there was some like the thing is, do you appreciate that though? The kind of like violent hijinks kind of action that they have, like them fighting the gorilla.
Like I can
I don't like
violence.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's just. But to me, it just feels like it's just way too scattershot. It's all over the map, and
So who's the show for? Is it for comic fans? Who's it for? Like Marvel. You look at Marvel shows or Marvel movies; those are for fans, I think. Like nobody knew Peacemaker before he showed up in
Suicide Squad
movie. So now they have a show on him. You think this is a show to engage comic book fans or a show to engage whom? Who's the show for?
The Suicide Fan Squad?
Suicide Squad, yeah, and I think also.
Yeah, but how many were there? 12?
Look, I think you're setting the bar low in terms of the fact that
well, it's the DCEU. That's why we set the bar low.
DCEU, right? And it's also on streaming, so it's not, and it's. I don't want to say I don't know what the cost of it is, but I think it's, they're making money.
Yeah, they're spending money on. I don't think it's a cheap.
Production's
show.
not bad.
Yeah,
no, there's a problem. You're watching.
But it just feels like,
it's an odd choice.
I like the roller coaster ride.
It could have been well done if it didn't take this kind of throw everything at the wall, see what sticks type of approach.
Is it a stylistic approach or just you think?
I think the story's muddled. I personally think the story's muddled. I don't understand what Waller's daughter, and I'm sorry what her name is, who's a good character. I like her, but I don't understand what her conflict is, what's going on. I've kind of lost the narrative thread there a little bit.
It's just that she's being bullied by her mom to do this job.
Right, and then she does really like.
Well, her mom's trying to groom her into it, obviously, because obviously she has a talent for something. Because you know how she talked, Vigilante into going in to try to kill the dad. She kind of talked Chris down into.
That's like a Waller thing, though.
But obviously it's something that she has, that a gift that she has per se, and her mom is trying to like groom her into it. But so what?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to understand what the purpose is. You have the team, Hardcore's team, Murn's team, doing this other thing off the books, away from Waller. Waller knows that they're doing it. So, and what's Chris's purpose? And now what's the purpose of White Dragon coming back? It's just like, it just feels, it's okay.
It is muddled. So here's why I like it. I like the quippy kind of wordplay that you get in.
Oh, I love that. Don't get me wrong.
I like the John Cena. I like the James Gunn excess that we talked about, the violence and the action. And I like the roller coaster piece of it. I I'm invested in it. So if they cut it, if this was the last season, and we'll talk about that, they got rid of it, I'd be like, okay, it was a fun ride while it lasted.
It was a fun ride while it lasted. Absolutely. I think it's a shot of nitrous. You know, it's like, okay, fine, great. It's a theme park ride, like you said.
But as a fan of the source material, I have no interest in it either. That's the sad part. There's no.
I think it perfectly encapsulates the state of the DECU.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Yes.
No matter what they do, they don't give a shit. We don't give a shit. They're not.
That's it.
And again, like, I hate to do this, but like, if you compare, you know, like we were talking, like it's a streaming thing, but you know, WandaVision was a streaming thing. You know, Hawkeye was. There's at least some kind of thread of investment in the characters, because
the story in the universe.
Even like, I mean, like, yeah, they talk about Superman, but like, you know, Superman fucks, you know, rabbits or whatever. It's just like,
he's into poop play.
You know, it's just like, okay, so they're in this universe of Superman and Batman and everything, but it's just kind of like,
it doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it. It does. You're right.
It feels like it's its own. It feels like they could be talking about Robert Pattinson's Batman and the Superman from the, you know, the Lois and Clark new series, for all I know.
But it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's a roller coaster. I have fun.
But everyone's answers is just kind of like, yeah, it's there. But you know, like in terms of,
But
I think a crisis could save the DC.
I go back to Keith's point, and I agree with it. I think what's really happening is they're throwing shit. DC is throwing shit at the wall.
Right.
See what
sticks. There's no universe building.
And there's no universe building. And the problem is you're about to have a lot of bigger properties. You have Black Adam coming out. You have
which is a different tone than
you have Aquaman, and you have another Shazam. So you already have these. I'm not even counting the Batman movie, because that Batman movie is in another universe, right? And the Flash further down the road, which is like, okay, where are you going with this? What are you going to do?
The Flash is going to undo the Snyderverse.
Well, it's like really?
Well, yeah, because Michael Keaton,
it's like it's schizophrenic. And right now, that's the prerequisite problem that I have, which is, okay, you want me now to invest. So you took this Suicide Squad, the movie, and it was essentially a slight reboot, a soft reboot to the previous one, right? So it's in that universe, but not that out there a little bit, and it does this thing. And now you're actually taking another character from within there and investing him in doing that. And again, it's sort of, and this is a nice segue into Boba Fett, is like you're taking a character that was not well liked, and you're trying to rehabilitate, not well liked, but sort of a bad character, not a, you know, like a badass, a villain.
You're trying to make something out of an unknown.
And trying to rehabilitate him and give him a character arc, which is what ended up happening, you know, what they're trying to do with Boba.
But the thing is, it's like, you know, like they could have played off his character the way it was in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And they could have made it
where he's a secret
funny
agent
that way. You know,
he was kicking ass in Suicide Squad. He was a vicious killer. In this, he's like, ever since, it's almost like James Gunn decided once he killed Randall Flagg, right? Not Randall Flagg. What's his name?
Yeah,
Flagg.
Yeah.
Is it Flagg? Or
Randall Flagg.
You got it.
Is it Randall?
I got it.
Is it, because I'm thinking Randall Flagg?
Rick Flagg.
Rick Flagg. Randall Flagg is from The Stand. I'm sorry. That's why I was like, ooh, wait.
Begin with an R. It doesn't matter.
But it's almost like as if he's lost his mojo, and he's no longer and that's sort of his Achilles heel, because there's that moment where he hits rock bottom in the previous episode.
I don't know. If him and Vigilante are growing up looking at their penises together to figure out the size and the shape, I don't know. That's what you love about it, right? But I'm just saying that goes to kind of like what we're saying about the show. How is we supposed to look at this as part of a bigger universe? Like,
I just want circle jerks and scat jokes, right? That's you. That's really
I'm just saying that's what makes it hard. I mean, as much as I like the show, like I said, I like the roller coaster. I like it when I'm watching it. It's fun to watch, and then I move on. But you can't put that in a bigger universe with a Superman.
No, you can't. You can't. And when you bring up Superman like that, it's admit it. It's Deadpool. They're trying to be Deadpool for the DC universe.
Yeah, but Deadpool's funny.
But I'll go on record right now. The minute you introduce Deadpool in the MCU, and it's Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and the first meta joke that he makes is going to be, it's going to be amazing, because you're going to be like, yes, thank you, that's what I wanted, you know?
But here's the thing: why is that going to be different than what they're trying to do with Peacemaker?
Because you're invested, and that's the thing. And
but
again,
the Deadpool movies, you know, he was kind of an unknown quantity too.
Yeah,
he was a very acquired taste, right? Yes.
But you know, the comic books were all over the place, and the movie was funny. They kind of did, you know, the ultra violence, the comedy, the meta jokes, and it was better than what they're doing with Peacemaker.
Yeah, much better. Why? Much better delivery, execution, style.
But the thing is, it's you know, and Cena's a good actor. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Right. He's excellent. He's excellent. He's
but
okay. To your point, George, can I ask a question about that and answer? Maybe this is the thing. Did the world? I know people wanted a Deadpool movie. Fans wanted a Deadpool. Fans wanted it. Did anybody give a fuck about?
No, there's a difference. Deadpool was a popular character in DC and Marvel for a niche. Peacemaker never has.
But and don't forget, Deadpool appeared in Wolverine Origins as a bastardized version.
Yeah,
and by Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, right?
Let's not go back there.
All right, before we go further down this road, let's just kind of button this up with sort of the news that came out that potentially there could be a second season, which it is the highest rated. It's really highly rated. So, I mean, do you think it deserves a second season?
I'll watch it.
Okay.
And I could take it or leave it. You know what I mean, Vlad?
But the thing is, though, it's like, where do you go with this?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you do with the character?
I have no idea.
I just don't see.
How many episodes?
It's 8. So we only have 3 episodes left, I think.
8 episodes?
3 episodes are left. That's it. It's only 8 episodes.
That's a long time.
Only 3 more weeks.
I think you're just going to go for the ride to see the antics. If you're there for some death.
Look, I've watched this many episodes.
That's a good point. I just realized we're completely missing the boat here. It's The Boys. It's The Boys again. It's this whole.
But I can't watch The Boys.
I know. Well, you know, you have a delicate stomach, and you.
No, it's not delicate stomach.
Now this brings up a sore point. The Boys is a more well done version of what they're trying to do with Peacemaker. In terms of being like a spoof of superheroes, funny ultra violence, you know, despicable shitty characters, and you know.
Who wrote The Boys? Garth Ennis?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you my take on The Boys, the comic book first.
We're not talking about the comic book. We're talking about the TV.
No, I'm going to go from one to the other.
Can you?
We think we're cool. We're going to make an edgy comic book about heroes that say fuck and kill each other, and it's funny and it's cool. And look how I stuck my foot in somebody's ass. Wow, that's interesting.
And then you like Mark Millar.
Can I ask you a question? Couldn't you have technical difficulties right at this moment?
No, but that's the difference. You bring up Mark Millar. Mark Millar has he's created what I think is a very interesting kind of niche within comics. He said, you know what? I'm going to do superhero 80s action movie style comics. They're not going to be too.
Yeah, basically, he's going to do the Authority with fucking and bullshit. I mean, he's basically redoing the Authority with every other artist he could find.
How can you say that? Did you think what was the book he did with Koipel? That was nothing like that.
You don't even remember the title. That's how good it was. If it wasn't for Koipel's art, nobody would give a shit about that series.
It's I think it was Euphoria. Was that the name of it?
No, don't bring up Euphoria because we got to talk about it. That show is amazing.
No, shouldn't we talk about Boba Fett? I think we're.
Yeah. Okay. The last thing we're going to talk about.
Mandalorian? What do you mean?
We're going to talk about because look, this is a supersized episode because we had technical difficulties because, you know, certain individuals, whatever, you know, they want.
Hey, that's going to happen. We're in the real world. Things happen. You guys were chit-chatting. You guys are very entertaining.
Yes, we are. Thank you. So the last thing about Peacemaker before we go is there could be a spinoff, and who is the spinoff going to be?
Who's it going to be? You mean different character?
Probably like the only one that has like any.
Yeah, there's going to be. Vigilante would be, yeah, but I think Vigilante has to work with
To
Peacemaker.
me, there's no universe to build there. I
I
think.
just no, I don't want to. Vigilante needs to stay.
To me, Gunn's got to do Suicide Squad or Secret Six. That's what he's got to continue to. That's his corner of the DCEU.
So
Okay.
basically, just do Guardians of the Galaxy just with R-rated jokes.
With a little
And by
more
the way, you heard
back-
what they said about Guardians, right? They said
What?
this is this Guardians 3 is sort of the last iteration of that group.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bye.
I mean, well, but
Bye.
That's
that's there's only so much you could do with those characters, and
and they already took Thanos off the chessboard, so they really got to dig deep to establish a universal threat.
Warlock.
They haven't done that
You know,
yet.
they have to really, build a huge universe, right?
Adam Warlock.
Yeah, they have to build a universe sort of like how they've done on Euphoria, right?
Well, I think they should. I think if they could tap into some of the very, very enigmatic scenes. And
so let's talk about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, let's talk about the Mandalorian. Okay, so I'm gonna take a first stab at this because this is gonna okay. Look, it's bottom line is it's either that the fifth episode to me was the best episode of this particular series. Doesn't say a lot because ultimately it ends up being either episode 0 or episode 1 of season 3 of the Mandalorian, right?
Episode half.
Right?
Prologue.
From the get-go, the first shot of him behind the meat curtains, whatever it was, not meat curtains, whatever that was, right? He was
Yeah.
That's about right.
right, and you could tell right away because you saw the spear. You were like, "Oh shit!" And then that is who Boba Fett was supposed to be. That's what everybody wanted, and we got that. I'm not going into. Before I get into details about the episode, Din ended up being the surrogate Boba that we all wanted. So at the end of the day, when
But
Lucas,
he was a good guy. We didn't want Boba to be a good guy.
but it's not even being a good guy. You got the type of bounty hunter that you expected
the
Boba
badass.
Fett to be.
Okay.
So you bring back Boba Fett in The Mandalorian for what purpose? Thinking that he's going to be even a bigger badass than Din was.
Not in those diapers.
Hey, I said don't call those diapers. That's being racially insensitive to the Tuscan tribe. It
Right.
is.
Sorry.
Okay, come on. It could be cultural appropriation, right? Because but he's part of the tribe. He became part of the tribe. But at the end of the day, what do you took? There was more lore building in that episode. You found out more about the Darksaber. You found out more about Mandalore. You found out all these other things. You found out, obviously, I'm sorry, I choked up when he says build something for the Foundling, and it's building something for Grogu, and when he sees the little Greedo and he thinks of Grogu, even the way that the thing was wrapped, the armor wrapped it looked like Grogu, and you're like, oh my god, right? And it's like, and that's the other lesson that I feel like he's going to have to learn, which is you have to let him go because he's a Jedi now. He can't have that attachment.
Well, but the thing so I think in this episode there was a lot of growth for Din.
Right.
Yeah, huge amount. All the things that
It's
he
like
had.
little things. It's not even, did you take off your helmet? That bit of, silence.
Well, somebody said, right? Yeah, somebody said like his Pedro, what's his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal's helmet acting is second to none. Like, right? Like you could tell just by the way he moves his helmet or does whatever that he's what emotions he's evoking.
With the silence, there was a little like 30 seconds of him trying to figure out
how to play it, but he was honest. That's the whole thing.
He's a good man.
But he's not only a good man, he's also a father. Remember, now he's a father. He considers himself a father.
And the thing was, it was funny because he was talking about how the Mandalorians are all about attachment and forming bonds, whereas the Jedi's and he realized that's when he realized the bonds he has with Grogu.
Right. So it's
yeah. But some interesting things. I think we should touch on that sometime in this discussion because there was a very interesting thing when the armorer started talking about their ethics or their mantra and stuff like that. It seemed like I have never seen any of the expanded universe stuff, so I don't know anything about
Clone Wars, all the Clone Wars stuff. Yeah.
But it seemed very similar to Jedi's when I was listening to what you were saying. I was saying, that sounds like a Jedi, a lot like a Jedi. And why do they hate Jedis? You know, I'm like thinking to myself, this is weird sounding to me, but I loved it nonetheless. So let me just tell you a few things I felt about the episode. Not only is it better than any episode of the Book of Boba Fett, everything about it was better.
Yes.
I'm talking about just looking at it. It almost seems like it was letterbox compared to, you know, a TV show versus a movie almost.
Criterion Collection.
Quality. It's like they thought about the color palette. They thought about the movement. There's no wasted time or space in the episode.
There's different environments. There's different planets.
Yeah, different environments.
But he was walking to that shuttle.
Yeah, but even that had action.
Right.
Right.
Okay, wait. How funny was that scene when he had to like unload every weapon he had?
That was great, dude. That was great. But
it's like, I know what I have.
Everything about it was great. It was like the action was better. It was a little more violent, I thought. Like,
that was the use of the dark saber in that fight.
Yeah,
was,
a little more.
I really love the fact that there's that whole issue of learning to control the saber
and the weight of it,
and the weight of it. I love that it's one of those things that we've always talked about, like as kids, like you have a lightsaber, you know, you're going to burn yourself, you're going to cut off a limb or something.
What I got from that, what I'm trying to get at is how could there be such a difference in quality? And again, I like the Boba Fett show. Don't get me wrong. I take it as like a Muppets episodes versions of Star Wars.
It's
Fraggle Rock Star Wars. But how is it that it looked that much better? Like it looked like it looked like, I don't know.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Huh?
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. I think it's the story.
But you know something? Here's the thing though, and I'm curious to see this played out in the next couple of episodes. But Filoni has a hand in the last bunch of episodes. He's been hands off on this because he's working on Ahsoka. Right. But he kind of helped with the Mandalorian episode and the last episode for Boba Fett.
Maybe we have some hope.
So did anything is going to be like, because I think he gets credit, but he needs a lot more credit for what he brings to the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, if that's his hand doing that, then he needs to be in all of them.
I mean, because, you know, like you think about it, like with all the Star Wars shows that they're announcing, which are the ones you're more interested in? Ahsoka, because he's involved in that.
I'm dead ready for it.
You know, it's the other ones you're like, okay, maybe I'm gonna watch.
Even Obi-Wan for me. Even Obi-Wan, I'm like,
oh wait, I'm gonna say, well, no.
Wait, before you go there, I think there's a piece we're missing that we should probably do for this episode. What happens in this episode? Somebody, Vlad, you want to go through what happens in this episode to explain before we kind of talk about?
Well, Din has a new mission, essentially. Like, he's been told that in order for him to rejoin the Mandalorian crew, basically two other people, the armorer and Jon Favreau character, because he's kind of broken the creed of the Mandalorian and taken off his thing, he has to go to he's got to go back to Mandalore, right? And he has to go.
He has to bathe in the falls of
the falls of the destroyed thing. So that's really what he has to do. But at the same time, he has a personal quest to find Grogu, which leads him, it leads him back to Amy Sedaris' character on Tatooine to help him build
he told him she has a replacement for the Razor Crest.
Razor Crest, which ends up
there's another important piece we didn't talk about that in that
we talk about the
sword and the importance of the sword. Now he's carrying the sword. So whoever
he's carrying the sword. He won it in battle against Moff Gideon, and again he was challenged by the Jon Favreau heavy gunner. Is right.
But part of the lore that they talk about is is the first Mandalore is one who's a Jedi and a Mandalorian.
Who created it thousands of years before, right? So now it's whoever has it can lead Mandalore. So, and they also mentioned that Bo-Katan.
That's the big end game to me. That's the
it's really Bo-Katan. It's really about Bo-Katan.
That's the other thing. The whole that line about Bo-Katan.
Right, because again, but that shows you sort of the sect that she broke off. Bo-Katan broke off because that was sort of one of those questions that was asked in the second season. Why do these Mandalorians don't have a problem taking off their helmets so it's almost like you have two different sects. You have the hardcore sort of religious dogmatic sect of the Mandalorians, plus the ones who are like, it's okay, you know, we're swingers, so we'll do whatever. But you know,
they could be on Euphoria.
There you go. You had to get in a plug for Euphoria, right? But but yeah, so I think there's a lot there, and we've talked about this, which is sort of the flashback scene to the Night of a Thousand Tears.
That was
Fucking amazing.
awesome. That was.
First of all, that was Terminator. That was like James Cameron level of like sort of like.
But that's what I mean. They did a flashback that looks so amazing, and then we look at the flashbacks that were done in Boba Fett. It looks like it's done on little sets.
Well, I had a hard time. I was thinking about that, and I thought about him fighting the Ring Hara,
Flashbacks for Boba Fett are the best part of the story.
And that's the problem. That's the
problem.
problem.
The show, and you can't help but make comparisons because they stuck this right dab in the middle of the show.
That makes me think that they knew the writing in the show itself. I feel like they felt it was weak, so they're like, "Oh, what do we got to do? We better put some Mandalorian in there."
I have a feeling. I forgot who I read it somewhere, and I'm stealing it, and I'm sorry. It may be coming from Paul Tassi again. And
what about Dickstein? It could have came from Dickstein.
It could have come from Dickstein too, but I think what happened was there was a scheduling thing going on with Pedro Pascal, because Pedro Pascal was filming The Last of Us for HBO.
Oh, okay.
So I think that also created sort of this vacuum of time that they needed to fill something. Otherwise, you would have had 2 years of nothing. So the problem right now is, here's the thing. I am having a hard time believing that Book of Boba Fett is going to stick the landing. I honestly,
I think it's going to, because I have faith in Filoni.
I don't think it's going to be as strong as there is an end game building in The Mandalorian, right? There's something bigger there. I don't see what the end game stakes for Boba are.
The thing is, I think the end game stakes for Boba Fett are smaller.
But do we care? Do we care?
Wait, yeah.
Well, I care more about Boba Fett than I do Peacemaker.
Okay, do you care more about Boba Fett than you care about Din?
That's
no.
Compare it.
Well, you've taken. Well, here's the deal.
So let me just put it in kind of how I see it for a second. The way I see it is they're going to stick the landing for what they intend.
Right.
We don't care about what they intend.
Does it deserve a second season?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's supposed to be a second season. It's kind of like it goes back to WandaVision, what everyone's idea of the finale was going to be. The show stuck with what their vision, pun intended, was going to be.
WandaVision, there's consequences that we know are going to play out very soon.
But the thing was that everyone was expecting an out at the end. Everyone had their own ideas of what was that last episode.
Well, everybody thought it was going to be the multiverse, right? And that was
Mephisto. It was Mephisto doing everything instead of
right. But
he's going to tame Tatooine.
He just basically stayed true to what their story was. And I think they're going to do the same thing with Boba Fett.
Who's going to tame Tatooine? Do you give a?
You don't care. You don't care. But that's what he's going to do. He's going to whatever he's going to do at the end of it. If he gets the gang together. Do you really think the Pike Syndicate?
You really think he's going to get the gang together? The gang together are going to be the Mandalorians.
Just for the sake of argument, what if he brings? Let's say he takes over the underworld at Tatooine, and then the last episode it shows Liara from the Crimson Dawn.
Does
that change things?
For me, no, because the tone, the way the show is produced. It has a different tone than The Mandalorian. So far, the way they're producing it to me makes it a show I'm enjoying. I like that they're doing some little universe building. They're rehabilitating Boba for whatever reason, and I'll watch it. It's good enough for me to watch it, and I'd watch subsequent seasons. I'm invested 100% in The Mandalorian.
Well, you know what it is, though? The thing is, everyone's talking about how he's been rehabilitated, Boba. But nobody wants to get into the expanded universe stuff. But he kind of got rehabilitated in the expanded universe.
I believe that. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant of that stuff.
It's it's just there was little he taught Han and Leia's kids how to be bounty hunters and stuff like that. So he was rehabilitated before this show attempted to do that. Is it something that people cared about? That's the thing.
That stuff exists anymore.
It's not canon anymore, though, is it?
Canon anymore. Once Disney bought out all that stuff, and these
guys are popping up, though. Thrawn wasn't canon; he's popped up.
But they've moved Thrawn. They've moved Thrawn to. Well, they started him in. Yeah, they started him pre. Initially, he was post
He's the
Jedi.
book. He's the book.
Right.
Yeah.
But now no. But that's what Filoni's building towards.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel he's the
Filoni's
big
building towards. It's not only a big bad. It's you have Ahsoka. Again, let's not. You remember the Rangers of the New Republic. That was kind of scrapped, but that X-wing pilot, the Asian dude, was back in it again. It's another reminder of that rebellion is still there. He was the one that remember gave the thing to
yeah, they're building
Cara
towards
Dune,
something.
Cara Dunes, right?
There's a connection.
That they're building, but that's that's the investment that we're talking. That's where we've been sort of spoiled by Marvel, by the MCU, where they're building sort of these puzzle pieces around. Like it's amazing that you've brought him in. You knew, okay, that makes sense. You're bringing in Din. It makes absolutely sense. Does it make sense now he's going to bring in Bo-Katan? Are they going to bring in Bo-Katan? You'd think if they got Din, they would probably get.
Maybe not for Boba, because is she considered a bounty hunter? Because she's on, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with Din right now because he has the dark saber. So there's that little.
Well, there's that. Well, there's a mystery. You don't know how that was left off. You don't know what happened there, right? There's that. Obviously, Din owes something to Boba. He'll do it for free. He wants to help him.
So let's talk about a couple of other things that happened in the episode. So we only talked really about the first half. The second half, he goes back to Tatooine to get his ship, and it's not the Razor Crest.
So
Right.
it's
Like that.
It's Naboo.
One of the best lines though in the show, when he tried to get onto the ship, he goes, "I'm a Mandalorian. It's my religion."
Yeah.
Did you guys pick up what he said to Amy Sedaris' character? She goes, "So how did it fly?" Did you hear what he said?
What do you say?
Wizard,
Yeah.
which is basically the Anakin line.
Yeah.
Oh, the biggest to me, what was really cool as talking about expanded universe was Amy Sedaris's little droid. That little droid is it's not, I don't think it's the droid, but it's the droid type from Jedi Fallen Order, the one that's on Cam Kestis's shoulder.
Character you play?
Yeah.
That was freaking awesome. I thought that was really cool, and I thought for a second, since Grogu's gone, he was going to take that. That little dude was going to go with him and sort of become his new little, the new little pet type of thing. But
we'll see. Grogu's coming back because he ain't gonna get cut down by.
I'll be honest with you. Talking about the Grogu thing, I think once he went with Luke, I think Grogu's story's done.
Yeah, I don't mind if we. I
understand what he feels, and we all feel it, but that's slam boom done. That's great. Keith,
Yeah,
what is your
Well, my question also is, they cite the was it the legacy, the destiny, the prophecy of the one Mandalorian who's going to bring it all together. So are they setting Din up for that? Is he going to be that guy?
That's the question.
And think about that. That's the irony about it is he is not a true Mandalorian.
Mhm.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right? He's not a real Mandalorian.
But they don't know that.
No, nobody knows that, but that's part of. But that going to Artie's point earlier is that like he has that pull towards, attachments, right? So he's not a Mandalorian,
right?
But he acts like one. So there's that conflict.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's written better for Din than it is for Boba. Like Boba's change is okay.
I think I was talking to George about it, and I always felt like I'm fine with Boba being back. I like that they kind of like tied it up where they. And all right, here's the other thing. Like he was the most notorious bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Allegedly.
No, but everyone knows the name Boba, right? That's the thing. They sold it as that, so I could see that he did his thing. But I think someone else said that he's an older guy now. He's been around. He's not the young guy that we used to know. So I mean, I like my drawing. I think I'd like to see him. He's Boba the Fett, where he's going to become that crime boss, or like starting a guild of. I think someone else mentioned maybe a guild of bounty hunters that he would, kind of like be like a hub for it. I like the idea of him transitioning from that, leaving that to Din now, who is now kind of more like the bounty hunter type, and that he's going into this new role. I think it's fine. I just think it hasn't been as well as it could have been.
No.
But again, like George said, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how they finish it off. I'm hoping Filoni kind of like came in and did a little touch on it, and well, I'll see where it goes. I mean,
I could see it in this episode. I mean, it's like a marked departure from anything you've seen.
I don't know if it's fair though.
It's good.
It's not fair
really
because
good.
It's a Mandalore. It's a Mandalore episode. Mandalorian.
It's good. It's
to me, it's
the quality.
It's like if you were watching something a PG show versus a fully fleshed out and well thought out epic done by.
I'm throwing out props to one of our friends, my friend Paul, who sent me a video of what the chase in the Boba Fett chase, the chase, the speeder chase was like, and it was the music from the chase, and it was set to the scene with George Costanza on the little scooter being chased by other people. That's the speed of it. Okay. That's really what it was. And I give props because it's funny. It's the truth. Mm-hmm. I just feel that there was no gravitas. There has been no real gravitas. Everything was paint by the numbers. Again, it's not bad, but it's just when you see this last episode, you're like, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, do this.
I'm sorry. You saw utter badassness in the first 5 minutes of that episode of what he did. He cut somebody in half. He took somebody's head. He fucked himself up by mistake. He did all of these things, and you're like, oh, damn. And again, and I said it last week, and I'll say it again, Rodriguez showed that with Boba Fett last season in The Mandalorian.
But then what happened from Rodriguez last year in The Mandalorian to...
What happened? It's basically that, it became Dances with Wolves. He went off.
The thing is, but still, the fight scenes that Rodriguez directed were not as interesting or as brutal as that fight scene from The Mandalorian.
You mean this? Wait, you're talking about
Boba's fight scene when he got reintroduced in The Mandalorian season 2, right?
Right.
That was Robert Rodriguez directed that.
Right, and that was well done. I said that.
Robert Rodriguez action scenes from that year to this Boba Fett season.
Unless they got notes from Disney saying you got to tone it down.
Yeah, but then Din comes in and he's slicing everybody up like he's a
right. Thank you. I don't know.
That's what I mean.
It's just like,
everything's better. I think George is saying it right. Even at his best, Rodriguez's style.
It doesn't jive with Star Wars.
But it worked pretty well in The Mandalorian.
It worked pretty well in The Mandalorian because I think...
Was it because he had Favreau and Filoni?
No, I'll tell you what it was. It's because we went, oh shit, it's Boba Fett.
No, because you rewatch that fight scene. It's brutal. It's efficient. It's well shot.
And then I'll have to look at it again, but I remember.
I will say this to George's point, to everybody's point. I think, again, it's the crux is there. He says it to Fennec. He says, I've changed. I want to believe in a tribe. I want to believe in all these things, and they were building towards that in the show with the flashbacks, which are the strongest part of the show, absolutely. And it's kind of paint by numbers what ends up happening. Obviously his tribe gets sacrificed. Raised, the whole thing happens, and it leads him down this path, but he's found a place where he belongs, and it's about him melding sort of that ruthlessness that he had, this lone wolf, into sort of a tribe type of thing. But again, as great as it was, as cool as it is to see that, it wasn't executed properly.
That's the weird thing.
You understand what they're going for. They're going for a much more principled, honorable man, right, in his older age that wants to sort of do, whatever justice he's looking for, or belonging to a tribe and doing things the right way. It's just on the flip side, it was just handled like, here are cliff notes and we've cut out huge parts of what they should show or what they should do. And that's how I feel about it.
That's the other thing that bothers me. I don't know why they need to use the word Damio. Not that I have a problem with the word dominant. I think it's cool, but for
It's
Star
kind of-
Wars, it just doesn't feel. It feels.
It's new. It's a whole new thing. And oh, Keith, back to your point about your drawing, which is great.
Thank you.
But that's the case. Look, Jabba was fat. Bib
Cartoon.
became fat.
That's the thing.
Boba's going to become fat.
It's got to.
Did I hear right in some of the press releases that somebody's supposed to be coming back in the last 2 episodes? A villain or a mob boss is coming back. Who could that be? If he killed
The only person that makes sense, okay, because is Kira.
Yep.
Is Kira from the Crimson Dawn, and that's Amelia Clark.
You don't think Lando's going to come back?
I know. I mean, if anybody's going to come back, please don't let it be Han, because if Han comes back, there's no reason.
Come back to help him. It just makes no sense. I don't think they would fuck it up that bad.
I would not like
Well,
that.
you know, once you're doing that,
The Millennium
Here's a
Falcon
question I
comes and
wanna
shoots down
ask,
Pike
and
ships.
I have a question that I want to throw it out there. And I want to see. Do you think having Tamura Morrison as Boba Fett hurts the show?
Yes.
that's a good question.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the actor. I think he's doing.
I like the actor too.
I mean,
When
he's like 60 something. He's in.
He's
pretty
61.
bud.
I think he's 61.
Do you
Yeah,
know how old Ming Na Wen is?
she's 54.
Yeah, she's phenomenal,
But
and
like,
she's dirty too. I love it. Well, she does a lot of sexual innuendos. There's a whole thing about it.
Okay.
What?
Oh wow, are we back on Euphoria?
Well, maybe it's a good segue.
Keith, where are we going with this podcast now?
Because everyone picked up that she had sex with Jawa.
We just opened the door
That was
down
great.
another dark hallway.
Did everyone
Amy
pick up
Sedaris
that?
going sleeping with Jawas. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Oh,
We do need to
that-
talk
There's
about
a
Euphoria
Euphoria
now.
episode in there.
No, back to George's point.
I say yes.
I don't think it's Tamura's fault. And here's the thing. And look,
It's not his fault. Of course, it's not his fault.
but Tamura's actually come out on record and said, like, I don't understand why Boba's talking as much as he is. You know, there's a whole thing
No,
out
but
there.
Did
I
you see
think
what
it goes
Kevin
to the
Smith said?
physicality of it.
What did Kevin? I didn't hear what Kevin Smith said. What did he say?
Kevin Smith said that it would have been better if he kept his helmet on the entire. Like he should never have taken his helmet off. Boba.
Depends.
Look, it's at the end of the day, it's
Different Boba, maybe.
Look, at the end of the day,
My thing goes back to what Keith said. The reason why I say no, why yes, it hurts him. In whether again, we're us here on this podcast are of the school that Boba Fett was never very special, right? We're of that school. He was a toy. He looked really cool, but he got hit into Sarlacc and it's over. That's it. Fine. We didn't need anything else.
He was about to kill Luke, though.
I know, but
He was
yeah.
so focused. He was razor focused.
he didn't do jack shit against.
How is he going to kill Luke if he can't
He
take
was
care of the
about to
fly guy?
kill Luke, and Han was like, "What?"
What?
Really? I'm
No,
sure he wouldn't have gotten Luke.
Where I'm going
Totally
with
would've killed
this is
He couldn't. He can't.
in the canon of the universe.
Don't
that
forget,
they
he's a
inserted him
stormtrooper.
in, Is that he's the most badass bounty hunter, and what we're seeing is kind of a frumpy, kind of changed man, kind of guy who, to me,
Us.
the
Right.
baddest ass bounty hunter. Anybody who 15 ninjas come, it's like nothing. He should have been wiping the floor with them with their
Don't
shield.
forget, he had some digestive enzymes from the Sarlacc on him. He's not in great
He's
shape.
wearing
And
the
let's say he
George
also
is
seems to
wearing
have
the
memory
pen.
issues. He has memory issues too, right? Because he got out of Sarlacc, right? The Beskar armor protected him.
But
He thinks
don't
the
even
Star
get-
armor was in the thing.
I think I don't even get a sense from the show that he was ever that person that was badass to the degree that he was.
Well, you could turn around and have the argument of, did they Ryan Johnson him? Sort of like what they did to Luke and what people are saying they did to Luke and, drinking the green milk on, in Last Jedi. That's what they did to Boba Fett. Again,
No, because Luke was awesome in Last Jedi. Boba's not awesome.
well, but look, there was no reason. Here's the thing: you brought Boba back with Din. That's what the whole purpose of it. You didn't need to bring Boba back again. You're gonna do that, then take Din out and make Boba the badass. You've already gotten this, okay? Unless you're creating this whole fleet of, there's not that many Mandalorians left, right? think about it. There's the armor, and what's his name? I'm sorry, I keep on forgetting that.
Viz something,
Vizsla.
something Viz.
Yeah.
Polka Viserys or something. Polka Viserys.
Pokemon Viserys?
I'm gonna
Okay.
look up his name now.
Okay, but at the end of the day,
Euphoria, Viserys.
Well, even Boba Fett is not a real Mandalorian either.
yes, he is. Remember they
The ceremony when he got the armor.
well, not the ceremony when he got the armor. They
got the Beskar armor. Completed the Beskar armor. Yes, he was.
not Boba Fett.
Oh, I'm talking about.
You're talking about Pokemon Viserys?
No.
No, I mean Boba Fett said. Remember that they clarified that in
Mandalorian.
the Mandalorian when he showed his family crest that it goes back that Django was actually a Mandalorian.
He was. Okay.
That he was right. So that's fine. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, it's
So that means the clone army is Mandalorians, a bunch of Mandalorians.
Right. And
I,
he still couldn't shoot.
And they still
and bang their heads up against the Slave One, or the
blast doors.
fire spray ship. That's what kind of a ship it is. We don't call it the Slave One.
He's not a slave anymore, so he has to change the name of the ship.
Thing. So, anything else you want to add, Artie, before we switch over to
I'm trying to get his name is Paz Vizsla.
Pad Vizsla? Okay, great.
That's what I've been saying.
That's what George has been saying. This is the supersized podcast, gentlemen. Okay, just
Okay.
Just like Boba.
Do we have any closing remarks before we call it a day?
Yeah, if I would really like to talk about Euphoria next week.
No.
Anything
No.
else? Anything else?
No, I think we had I think it was a really lively discussion about all the topics. I think we're good here. I think it's time to
I'll go
sign
into next week.
Till next week, guys.
What about the death of Justice League?
Oh,
When
God.
Oh,
we
no.
started. I don't know what DC is doing.
All right. Good night, everybody.
And signing off.
You don't want to get me started.
We're just getting started, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Product placement.
Yep. Subscribe and listen. Follow us.
I love podcast.